A major thank you to Ridge Wallet for sponsoring today's episode of 7 on Sunday and being a supporter of the channel. Many of you may have heard about this sleek, minimalist wallet that's being peddled by a certain internet melon, but did you know that I'm now in the game and offering 10% off your order at ridge.com/ARTV using code ARTV? I'm here to help you join the more than 500,000 men and women reducing the amount of unnecessary cards and clutter they carry in their pockets every day. The Ridge boasts a lifetime warranty and free returns, so now is the time to make the switch to the wallet that sits nicely in your front pocket, unlike the one that Grandpa gave you for Christmas. Click the top link in the description or go to ridge.com/ARTV to get 10% off your order. That's code ARTV at ridge.com/ARTV for that 10% discount. What's up everyone, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and you're watching another episode of 7 on Sunday. This week I'm counting down underrated deep cuts from popular albums. Popular as in they're at least certified gold in the United States. I'll talk about the certifications on each, but gold is the minimum required. Obviously it goes gold, platinum, double platinum, diamond, all that good stuff. We'll talk about it as we go. But also with this episode, do keep in mind that it was kind of killing me a little bit inside. I wanted to put more on this list than I actually could, because obviously there's many underappreciated classics from really good or else very popular albums, but I just couldn't fit everything. There's going to be a Spotify playlist. Go follow me over there. There will be a link in the description down below if you want to check out some others that didn't quite make the episode. I'm excited to talk to you about the 7 that did make the cut. All of these are absolutely fantastic songs. I tried to pick from a variety of different styles and genres, so let's not waste any more time. We'll get right down to it. Please drop a like on the video if you enjoy it today, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. Hey, we gotta talk about both sides of the spectrum when it comes to Imagine Dragons. Some people out there think that I just hate everything that they've ever done, and in fact I want to like them a lot of the times more than I actually do. But today, at number 7, I've selected Mouth of the River from their 2-time certified platinum album, Evolve, that came out in 2017. This is one of the least streamed songs somehow. Not to say that it's completely off of people's radar, but it's like one of the least played songs from the album Evolve. I feel that this is one of those songs that features a really eccentric guitar line. I like the fact that it's worked in there. This track does have a repetitive chorus, but the repetition is used in a kind of powerful way. And the message here, it's not as universal as most of their songs try to be. They bring in a variety of different tones and instruments here, and it actually sounds really good in a live setting too. So if you haven't heard this song and you've perhaps been familiar with Thunder or Whatever It Takes or Walking the Wire, this is hands down for me the best song on the album, and it's unfortunately not one that a lot of people talk about.
Should I go back? Should I go back? Should I not feel alone and tired? Should I go back? Should I go back? Should I hope I will forget you.
Let's switch lanes completely for my number 6 pick, AESTHENIA by Blink-182. The pop punkers went a lot darker on the Untitled album, which is certified 2 times platinum. This is a release that saw darkness creeping in at every corner. There definitely were some pop punk cornerstones to this foundation, but they built upon it in a shakier way. Not in a bad sense, but in a way that they had vulnerabilities. And AESTHENIA is a track that starts off a little bit slow. It has a darkness to it. We hear some chatter and some background noise before it finally breaks in, and I love those throttling drums and a very catchy performance. In fact, the vocals here from Tom DeLonge are among the best that he ever laid down in a studio setting. The actual definition of AESTHENIA refers to a lack of energy or a feeling of tiredness that just lingers, and most people would probably chalk that up to Tom talking about a relationship, something in his love life, but I think maybe I'm going out on a limb here and saying that he was feeling tired of being in the band. He was feeling maybe like the walls were closing in. He was trying to do Boxcar Racer, and after this, Blink-182 broke up. He started Angels and Airwaves. It was a tumultuous time in the band, and this song, even though it is very catchy, it's spry in a lot of ways. I love the drum performances, the chugging guitars that kind of pop off in places. This is a track that I just want to put back on your radar because it's fantastic, and it comes towards the end of this record, and I feel that a lot of people gloss it over. I've buzzed about my number 5 pick, Only Wanna Dance With You, before, but all good things come in pairs, right? It's Kesha, and obviously Julian Casablancas from The Strokes doing some backing vocals here. It's from her gold certified album Warrior, and while this album is certainly stuffed to the brim with some underrated cuts that we could talk about, I want to put this one out there because I feel that this is truly the direction that Kesha was wanting to go in, but she was being held down by label execs such as Dr. Luke. Now, this was obviously before the lawsuit. This album came out in 2012, and I really do like this album a whole lot. It's something that's gotten a lot of mileage for me, and this track, Only Wanna Dance With You, kind of features this classic rock flavor with maybe a slight disco tinge to it, which I really do adore. The instrumentation here just has a nice little slicing riff, some kind of choppy drums, keeping it nice and peppy all throughout. It's a fun song that kind of calls to mind an older decade, but it also is updated for Kesha, and it feels like it's right in her wheelhouse. She knocks it out of the park, and this song is easily forgettable by a lot of fans simply because of the fact that it wasn't her traditional style for people who loved Annibal and Cannibal. And then after that, I think a lot of people just started looking at the lawsuit and they only picked off the singles like Die Young and obviously Come On. This is a song that is magnificent, and obviously, like I said, there's plenty of underrateds that you could go to from Warrior, but this is one that I implore you to check out.
Listen to me, I want a single bill from you, nothing less, nothing more. I told him I didn't have it, then close my door. Tell me how much a dollar cost.
We could get into a pretty deep discussion about my number 4 pick, How Much a Dollar Cost, by rapper Kendrick Lamar from his platinum certified album To Pimp a Butterfly that released in 2015, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to try and break it down and keep it brief. This is a song that wasn't released as a single or anything, although it did generate buzz thanks to President Barack Obama selecting it as his favorite record of 2015. This song has such an important message to it. It tells us to be humble, to pay attention to those around us because we never exactly know who we're talking to. In this track, Kendrick deals with a homeless man that comes up and begs for money, and he initially kind of shrugs it off. He's annoyed by it, and I love the fact that this track is kind of wrapped up in a very traditional jazzy R&B swing. It features a kind of tense mood, and I think that all of the instrumentation, the brass on this track really gets it right. And as the homeless man keeps talking to him, Kendrick kind of sees the light. He starts talking about the Bible, the homeless man that is, and then he realizes that this man he's actually talking to is God. And throughout the record, we've seen his temptations. The temptations and the evils of Lucy are all around him. And here on this one, he kind of breaks it down and realizes that he needs to be humble, I suppose, for lack of a better word. This track is absolutely splendid, God tier in many ways. It's one of my favorite rap tracks of the 2010s, and it's simply a must hear.
Red blood and a mannequin. Do or die, no reply. Don't deny the judge saying everything.
Prosthetic Head by rockers Green Day comes in at number 3. This is from their 1997 album Nimrod that is certified 2 times platinum in the United States. This is a record that I feel in general does go a bit overlooked because it came in between Warning and like the American Idiot era, and obviously people talk about Insomniac and Dookie, but in the middle of it all, you had this record that was just full of so much experimentation in some ways, and this song is so overlooked. Poor Prosthetic Head was put right after Time of Your Life, which gets played at every wedding and like prom event ever, and right after that you did have to close the record Prosthetic Head, and this song has a mishmash of styles. I like the fact that it takes an acoustic guitar in the verses, it slows it down a bit, and you see that different vibe. It's definitely seething with anger and rage in some ways, but it also tries to play it cool. I love the peppy drums on this thing. There's kind of a burst leading up to the chorus, and once that hook goes down, you know that everything about this track is just falling into place. I love the fact that the second part of this song does kind of have a different tempo to it. They're able to change it up before moving back into the final part of the song. It's just glorious. This song deserves to be heard by anyone who has ever liked Green Day even remotely. Serving up 2 more doses of underrated goodness as we work our way to the top of this mountain of underrated deep cuts from popular albums, the number 2 placement is going to none other than the Beatles. This track is from Abbey Road that is certified more than 12 times platinum in the United States alone. It's one of the most popular albums of all time. It has that famous album cover that literally anybody would recognize. This track that I'm putting on the list today is I Want You, She's So Heavy. This is John Lennon's track, but obviously the entire band really put themselves into a different mindset for this one. It's one of the longest Beatles tracks ever. And this song is experimental, and dare I say, it started the stoner rock movement. This song closes out the first side of Abbey Road, so before you flip it over and get to Here Comes the Sun, you have to go through the brutalness and the heaviness, I suppose, of I Want You. This track features a bluesy section. It kind of reminds me of The Doors in a way, but it also has this heavier kind of guitar-driven section that does loop. It feels maybe to some a bit aimless, but I love the fact that this track gets into the jam zone and just shoots itself out into space. The vocals on here, I want you, it's just, it feels so good in the mix, and this song is so rewarding the more time you spend with it. A fun but sad fact about I Want You is that it's the final song that all four of the Beatles were in the recording studio for at the same time. They were working on some overdubs in August of 1969, about a year before their final album Let It Be dropped, but this is the final time that they were all there. After that, John Lennon walked out. So I Want You, She's So Heavy definitely has its spot in the Beatles' legacy, and it deserves a little bit more respect on its name, which I'm giving to it today. Awarded the top spot today is Garden by the grunge band Pearl Jam off of their album 10 that released in my year of birth, 1991. Garden is one of the most underappreciated tracks of that era in music. Out of all of the big names in grunge, I just always gravitated towards this one. It was one night in particular, I remember. It was 2016, and yes, I was smoking weed in my basement. You can definitely slap the law down on me if you'd like, but this song just started to speak to me. This album in general really had been a favorite of mine for a while, but this song, Garden, unlocked for me. I feel the power. There's an anti-war message within this one, and Eddie Vedder's voice, it's just something that's so riveting. It can send a shiver down my spine, but it can also be a very powerful statement. I feel that there's definitely some biblical allusions packed into this one as it talks about the garden and some temptations, and he talks about walking with his hands tied in this one. He's basically saying, I could keep my mouth shut, or I could speak out whether society wants to hear it or not. And the bass, the guitar, the drums on this one, everyone is going full throttle, especially once it gets to that little guitar solo. Some of the best riffs on 10 break in on this one. It's a lovely track, but it's also one that impresses in a variety of different ways. I truly feel that it deserves this spot, and despite this album being 13 times platinum in the United States, I feel that Garden deserves more attention. So let's start the conversation. What do you guys think of this song? Do you agree that it's the most underrated on 10? That closes out the list for this episode of 7 on Sunday, but go ahead and finish that thought in the comment section down below. What are the most underrated cuts from any of the albums that I've mentioned today, or some of the most underrated deep cuts from popular albums that you guys know and love? Anything at all I would love to hear in the comments section. Please drop a like on the video, and if you haven't already, then subscribe for the love of music. Much appreciation for Ridge Wallet, who have been supporting my channel lately. If you go check them out, it truly does help out ARTV more than you even know, or even just hitting that like button, it goes a long way. Thank you guys so much for your support and love for 7 on Sunday and the channel in general. If you want to see recent episodes, then click the links below me here, or check me out on social media linked in the description. I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.